Good morning. Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you all again. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. This is water for the budget today because the water keeps us hydrated. I've actually been doing a little bit more research about it because I say it all the time. And I wanted to find the scientific proof that I just wasn't thinking that the water was making me feel better, but the water was actually making me feel better. And I'm learning quite a lot, and I may share that once I synthesize it a little bit more. But essentially, when we're dehydrated, we have a less cognitive ability. Good morning, Tandy from North Carolina. Christina from Philly. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy that you guys are here. We are going to do our budget for October. Can you believe September is over already? I feel like for me, September went by really, really slow, and that may just be because there was just so much, I feel like my forehead is cut off, but that's okay. There was just so much going on, so it went very, very slow. So if you're just joining me this morning, good morning, Monica. Please say good morning in the comments and let me know where you guys are from. As you guys do know, I enjoy our international audience. Good morning. Good morning, Jessica from Michigan. Adele from Transylvania. I love that. You're from Transylvania. Kimber from 6 a.m. in Seattle. Thank you for waking up so early. Julian, good morning to see you from Minnesota. I love you guys. Look at all the states are represented. Susie, represented from England. Adriana from Richmond, Virginia. Piggy Paradise from London. Your real name is Paige. I saw that at the end. From Toronto. I didn't catch your name. Ohio, Ebony. Cincinnati, Ohio from Amber. I am just so excited. Some of you guys may have been on my life. Lisa from Omaha, that's my hometown. Good morning. How are you? Feel like I probably know you and I just don't. If I saw your face, we would totally know each other. Southern Virginia. What was I about to say? If you guys didn't know, yesterday I did a live from France, Fontainebleau, France. Madame Du, good morning from France. You guys, I have a secret love affair, North Carolina, with French speaking countries. I just think it's such a beautiful language. I studied it in high school. I want to actually master French. So Richmond, Virginia, good morning. Tennessee, my DIY home. Carolyn from Richmond, Virginia, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm just pulling up you guys over here on the side, and then we will get started with October's budget. I am so stoked about doing this budget. Oh, that's what I was saying. So if you guys missed it, good morning, Amanda from the Bahamas, Key West, Florida. Yesterday I did a celebration of paying off my first debt. I paid off my very first debt. It was my PayPal debt for $650.55. And I'm so excited to be moving forward into being able to focus on my other debts. Good morning, California. Tandy said learning French is on my list too. Good morning, Sharon from Cleveland, Ohio. I've never been to Cleveland, Ohio. I want to go. Good morning from Romania. Bando SFTW 100. Good morning. I love that you guys put your usernames out here. It just makes me super happy. Lexi from Texas. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. It fell. Thank you, Jacinda. She said, Jacinda friend from, she said, congrats on paying off your debt. Thank you. I'm super, super duper duper pumped. And I will say the only way that was possible is one, because I did a budget every single month. It was my best effort to do it before the month began. One, I did a budget, and two, because of you guys. This community that has gathered around this journey and has decided to be inspired by me doing this publicly, that you guys are doing your own work. If it was not for you, it wouldn't have happened. So thank you guys for being incredible and being amazing and truly supporting this work. So for those of you who are just joining me and you've never seen me before, every single month before the month begins, I try to do my budget. I am a student of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. Elka from Germany, hello. And I'm on a journey to become 100% debt free. At the recording of this video, I keep ballparking my debt, and I realize that that's confusing people to no end. And so the reason I say around $200 high, lettuce from Spain, is because the reason I ballpark it is because I want people at the start of the videos to understand the gravity of what I'm trying to pay off. But in the comments, I realize that you guys are getting more and more confused because I was at 183,000, and then, the month came and I was like, oh, 200,000. And I think that the biggest confusion is how much interest is building on my debts. And so I think, I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it's at least $1,200 a month in interest that I gain. And so a lot of people, my very first video that I did, I talked about how my debt was 208,000, and I want to say around 18,000 was forgiven. And so that would automatically, bring me down to about the 180 and change. But what the distance between the first video that I did and now is literally 12 months. So if you take 12 times 1,200, that's where some of the bump up is. Every month when I say the number, I'm not calculating interest. And I think I was doing that for continuity, but I understand that it's becoming confusing. And so what I'm saying is I have a ballpark number around 200,000, and that, again, it's just because I don't want to, for you to get halfway in the video and you misunderstand, the level of debt that I'm trying to pay off. But also I don't want to encourage confusion. Good morning, Cindy from Alabama. So I'm working on how to communicate how much debt I have as accurately as possible without stressing myself out, because I think that, so that there's just an aside. So if you're just watching me, I do have nearly $200,000 worth of debt. Bonjour, softly the Frenchie. And I work part-time in my own company, and I bring in anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my zero-based budget, following Dave Ramsey's budgeting program. He has 3 forms that he encourages you to fill out: a quick start budget, a cash flow plan, and a allocated spending. And so this video usually takes around 90 minutes to just get through all the numbers. And then after that, I typically try to do some form of a Q&A. If you guys have questions that are just general questions, we may pop out and then pop back on, so that way the Q&A is separate and people who want the budget can get the budget. But this is just where I share. Cindy Porter, Dave Ramsey is the truth. Yeah, he's so much the truth. I listened to him probably for 4 hours a day, every day this month, just because I was so overwhelmed with transitioning from working part-time to working part-time in my company. Maybe not overwhelmed is not the right word. I was concerned about it. And so I just needed to keep him top of mind, to just remind myself that, like, I'm fine. Entrepreneurship works, things will be good. So, if you guys don't have any questions, I will turn you over and we can start doing the budget. I think I like to remind people, I keep forgetting. Thank you so much, Lisa. Yes, I'm a student, so 1,000%, I am concentrated on learning everything that I can learn. But even in me being a student, so many of you guys have asked for additional support and additional resources, and that is something that is 100% available to you. I do one-on-one budget coaching, money coaching, accountability, and what I'm realizing from the clients that I have now is that they come to me for 3 reasons in terms of me working with them one-on-one. They want the accountability, obviously, because you have somebody that's directly talking to you. They want the additional, like, one-on-one inspiration. But I think the thing that has been the most helpful to the clients that I've worked with so far in the money talk sessions is the organization. When you first start looking at your budget, when you first start looking at your debt, when you first start looking at things, it can be quite overwhelming. And so anyone who's interested in support in organizing your finances, getting an extra measure of accountability, and having some one-on-one inspiration, I encourage you to sign up for my one-on-one coaching. It's $25, and we literally stay on the phone as long as it takes for us to figure out what your budgeting philosophy is, what your why is, and complete your budget for the month. So that is available. If you're interested in that, just shoot me an email to info@staceyflowers.com, and I will send you a link to be able to pay the $25. So thanks, Lisa, for reminding me to share that. She is one of my clients, and she's very happy with her work. Tawanda said, I'm here, but I'm multitasking. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so it doesn't look like there are any questions. So without further ado, let us turn you guys over onto the paper, and let's start working on the budget. Do you guys have your forms? If you have your forms, you can go ahead and put a 1 in the comment section so that I know you're ready to go. And for those of you who don't have forms, you can click on any of my videos, I think except for the last 2, because I didn't do anything in the description box. And in the description box, there'll be a link. Just hit that link. You'll give me your email, and then it'll shoot the forms right over to you, so that way you can follow along. All right, so we're gonna turn you around. I think, there we go. Okay, I probably should have cleaned that one off. Okay, that is better. All right, so we have the quick start budget here, and I am going to get this filled in, and feel free to ask any questions along the way. Yeah, okay. So you guys know that for my charity, I literally changed this out to giving, but for my giving, I have prioritized my child support, my son's commission, and his iTunes account. So I just put that as CCI. And at this time, I'm doing 10% of my income to that expense, and then also I do 10% for my tithes. So that's 180 there. My emergency fund of $500 is fully funded, but I am working to bump this up to $1,000 because I do see that my income is increasing. So I'll come back to this number to figure out what I'm going to put there. But yeah, just so you guys know, there is going to be a little bit more. Good morning, Candace. For my rent is $845. And then my renter's insurance is $5.75. Oh, I forgot my calculator. Give me just 1 second, guys. Good morning from Carly from Australia. She said it's 9:26 p.m. here. Good morning. Thanks so much or good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. My utilities are $25 for my electric, $25 for my gas, and then I have a second gas. So this gas right here is for heat, and then the second gas is for cooking, which was just a expense that was very confusing to me initially. B. Carmen, good morning from Toronto, Canada. Good morning from Puerto Rico. It was very confusing to me because I couldn't understand. I mean, I cook, but I don't I'm not, I'm in a studio. I'm not like a Michelin chef. And the bill was like fairly high in my opinion. But it's around $25 a month because it's based on the whole entire apartment complex. So I'm just going to budget $25 a month for that. And then for my phone bill is $35.82. Internet is paid out of my business account, and then I don't have cable. And then for my groceries, I think I'm doing fine with the $50 grocery price point. I know we're moving into the colder months. I'm gonna come back to it. I'm hesitant to do 50 and then go over, just because I mean, I could just, I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to come back to it. Also, there's going to be a need for clothing because we have moved into sweater weather, and I don't have fall clothes, but I'm going to come back to that number as well. Car payment, I don't have a car payment, but I do want to put my car expense on here. So I usually give myself about $50 for that. Life insurance is $10.44. I have not gotten health insurance. And one of the reasons for that is because the way the health insurance programming has changed here in the US, there are enrollment periods, and you can't get into a health insurance program unless you meet one of the requirements. And I didn't meet one of the, you can't opt in out of enrollment period unless you meet the requirement, and I didn't meet the requirement. So enrollment opens again in November, and it opens in November, but I believe health insurance wouldn't start until the top of the year. I'm not 100% for sure, but that is increasingly becoming a concern of mine. There is another option, a health sharing plan, that I'm doing a little bit more research on, but as it stands right now, I don't have health insurance. And then I don't have a car, so that's why I don't have car insurance. And then I don't have any other insurances. So I just want to add these numbers up really quick so that way I can plot for clothing, groceries, and a little bit of savings. So my anticipated income for October is $1,800. So I'm going to subtract. Okay, so based on my calculations, I have $777.99 left. So I'm gonna, and my only hesitation with the grocery is I like the conservative budget habit, but I know that we're moving into fall, and that shifts things just a little bit, even in terms of in-season vegetables and things like that. So I'd rather err on the side of having a little bit more than not having enough. And things also with me being at home instead of going to my part-time job also shifts. So I'm gonna do $75 for that budget. And then my clothing budget, I'm going to do $50. It would have been $100, but it's going to be $50 because Simple Food, Simple Life, good morning from Iowa. But I received some gifts last month that people specifically wanted me to allocate towards clothing. And so a part of that 50 that I'm going to do for a total of 100 is going to go here. So I'm hoping to be able to make it through sweater weather with $100 of clothing. And then I'm not going to specifically allocate additional clothing for my son. I think that if I change this number, good morning from Kenya, Vanessa, good morning, then I would just change this number up here. So I'm going to, yes, well, the poet said, will you do a food video month, October haul, cook, or your adaptation? Yes, definitely. Because it is different. Like summer food is different. In my opinion, it's very different. So I'm just going to add up these numbers really quick just to make sure before we move on to the next budget. You're welcome, the poet. Just before I move on to the next budget, just to make sure my calculations are correct. So it's 360. Good morning from the UK. Yeah, it did seem a little bit off to me, so I'm gonna add it up now. So that's what we're doing now, just to double check the numbers. That's why I love having you guys here. Metamorphosis said, where are your clothes from last fall? I don't know if you guys can tell, but I did lose a little bit of weight, which was intentional. I wanted to go back down to my natural weight. So some of it is I can't fit some of those things because I'm at my natural weight. And then the other part of it is I had a few items that I wore for the most part, fall, winter, and spring, and they weren't necessarily the highest of quality. So they did get a little bit worn out. But like this sweater that I have on now, this is from 2 seasons ago, and I'm repeating it. So everything that could be repeated, I'm definitely repeating. So yeah, but that's a great question. Great question. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so let me add these numbers up again. So 360, all right, let me actually, 1800 minus 360 minus 850, 75 minus, oh yeah, those numbers, I don't know how those numbers were so off from before. Minus 110.82 minus 75 minus 50 minus 50 minus 10.44. Does that number look a lot better? Carly said 50 isn't much for clothes. Yes, I intend to do secondhand clothing. So does that number look much better to you? 292.99. I'm gonna add it up this time and then subtract the full amount. 1044. I can't remember who was the person who said that number looked, oops, that didn't go in there, right? I can't remember the person who said that number looked off, but if you can tell me if that number looks better for you. Yeah, Kaylee said charity shops are a good place. I agree. Okay, so 1507.01. And I actually might yeah. Okay, so I got $292.99 twice. So those are my total numbers based on my 4 walls. So this month my 4 walls equals, hi Kay from Guam. My 4 walls equals $1,507.01. Where can you get the form? If you go to any of my videos except for the last 2, there are links in the description box in all of my videos. So this is the cost of my 4 walls. So for me to pay my tithes, my child support, commission, and my son's iTunes, for me to pay my rent, my renter's insurance, for me to pay all of my utility bills, for me to do food, a little bit of clothing, transportation, and then my life insurance, it's $1,507.01. I really want to get rid of these 82 and 40 boards. I really do, because it's so confusing in my checking account, but I'm going to leave it and let it be accurate. So if you guys are ready to go, I will move to the next form, the cash flow form, because I still need to allocate the $292.99. And I didn't put anything in savings yet. Again, that was intentional because technically where my income is right now, my emergency fund of $500 is fully funded. So technically I don't have to add anything to that just yet. And I just want to make some more decisions on the other side. So if you guys are ready to go, just press 1 and I'll know we can move on. Good morning, Christine from Myrtle Beach. I'm so happy that you really enjoy my channel. All right, I'm seeing mostly 1s. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so the next form is going to be the cash flow form, and the cash flow form is 2-sided. So I'm just going to open that up. I don't know why I always put so much stuff on this little tabletop thing. Okay. Good morning, Ale from Canada. So it's 2 pages like this. I'm just going to condense it down to 1, but I just wanted you guys to be able to see that we are working over 2 pages. And the big thing with this one, so the reason we do a quick start budget is because we want to know what it takes to take care of our basic necessities, essentially our four walls, right? That's why we do the quick start budget, because we just need to know what, like if somebody was just like, you know, what would it cost to cover your expenses for a month? I would tell them 150701. That's what it costs to cover my needs for a month. The budget forms, the poet, are in the description box of all of my videos except for the last two. The monthly cash flow plan is actually you allocating, because remember I have $292.99 left over out of this particular budget. It's me telling this money where to go. Like, do I want that to go to debt? Do I want it to go to lifestyle? Where do I want to spend the rest of that money? That is important. So we're going to come over here and we're going to kind of do a little bit of a copy and paste in terms of putting some numbers in here. And then when we get to the second page, it'll be other numbers. And this is my CCI. Ellen, do you save receipts to track your spending? No, I don't. I do my spending based on my budget. And I do want to talk about that. Let me fill this out really quick, because there is a difference between budgeting and tracking your spending. So let me fill these numbers in. And as you guys can see, this is still, I get this question a lot. My rent is way over the 25 to 35% of my income. So I do need to bring my income up to take care of that. 360. I'm going to do 75, 50, 50. And so then here we come to the first box where things are a little bit different than from the quick start budget. And typically what I like to put here is my therapy costs. I want to go to therapy twice this month. And so my therapy sessions are $70 each. So that would be $140. So I can already see if I take 140 from, I don't know what I pushed. That made that do that. You can see that I have $152.99. Oh, this is my favorite type of pen. It is a Pilot pen, I think. No, it's a Precise pen. Precise, extra fine. Love it, love it, love it. These are my all-time favorite pens in all the land. So we'll put this here, this here, this here, this here. Thank you so much, Simply Food, Simply Lifestyle. Congratulations on paying your PayPal. Thank you so much. It was, I feel amazing about it. I'm super stoked. The Poet, yeah, Precise are awesome pens. So then here, was my life insurance? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Life insurance is $10.44 for a term life policy. I don't have my health insurance yet. $5.75 for my renter's insurance. I'm not for sure why they bring those boxes over to this side like that. But total is $16.19, which if you look at the percentages, I'm doing good relative to my income, but I don't have my health insurance in there, so that's actually not good. So then we move on to personal, and I'm so super excited to come in personal or lifestyle. And I'm super excited because you guys know typically I change this to instead of toiletries, I do household pantry, and instead of this, I do personal hygiene. And in September, one of my subscribers reached out to me and she just asked me for the brands of all of the products that I use, from laundry to laundry detergent to soap to face wash, moisturizer, lotion, like all of those things. She was just like, well, what's in your personal hygiene? So I sent her the list of everything that was in my personal hygiene, and she literally sent me a bulk order of everything. So technically it seems that technically she sent me 2 of everything, but because she sent some things in the bulk size. So like, for example, laundry detergent. So I use Tide Free and Clear. So instead of her sending like the small Tide Free and Clear, like not the small, that's very small, but like the smaller one where you can do like 27 or 24 loads or something. She sent me the big one, which is like 54 loads, but she sent me 2 of those. So I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but it's like I won't have to do personal hygiene for quite some time just because one of you amazing subscribers sent me a bulk order of all of my personal hygiene. And she didn't just do like laundry detergent. She also did my super expensive moisturizer. So people often are like, why is your personal hygiene so high? And it's because my moisturizer is anywhere from like $16 to $20 a month. And she even sent me double of that. So it's like super freaking amazing. So I'm super excited to be able to cross that out because it's literally just taken care of. And yesterday when I was thanking everybody for me being able to pay off my PayPal debt, like one of the reasons I'm able to do that is because a subscriber decided to be a part of this journey and send me this particular, because these are their needs in the sense that, yeah, you need soap, yeah, you need lotion, yeah, you need that, but the brands that I use make it a want, if that makes sense. But I just appreciate this person for wanting to support the journey, but wanting to also honor me as a person and not suggest that, oh, you're going to use the brand and the products that I say you should be using based on what I think about you. Rather than that, she said, no, I'm looking into your life and I'm looking into what you're doing. And I want to honor you as a complete person who has decided to do this journey publicly by giving you the things that you both need and you want. So I'm just super stoked. I just wanted to take a minute to just like mention that that's taken care of. Yeah, total heart of gold. Like, yes, like, and one of the things I love about like this journey is that like, money is so emotional, and to see the emotions that are coming up for people, the good, bad, ugly, indifferent emotions, it's super fantastic. Like after, we talked back and forth and I let her know, everything was received. Like she was like, hashtag live like no one else, and so it's just like, that's something that Dave Ramsey says all the time. Like, do this now so later you can live and give like no one else, because I know how much all that stuff costs in general. I'm not going to add it up because I'm, that's not okay. Like, accept it as a gift, but I know that, it wasn't a small amount of money to ship like a bulk order of the personal brands that I adore to me. But like, she's in a position to be able to live like no one else. And I think that that's the reason why it's like, yeah, pay off your debt, do a budget so that way you can do that without like harming yourself or taking away from yourself. Because I think if you're anything like me, like you want to give, but like all the times that I gave, I was never really in a position to be able to give. And yeah, so, she was, and she did that. So that's super, super amazing. So that's something that I don't have to take care of. You guys know that child support is prioritized in my 4 walls. So truly the only thing that's left in this category, I mean, a little household pantry, but I didn't finish the shopping, or excuse me. Yeah. Household pantry is usually what I change this to. I didn't finish the shopping for, my household pantry last month. So I still have that in my cash envelope, that money. So I'm just going to use that from last month. So the only thing in the lifestyle category that I would be giving myself is pocket money. And where are we at with $152.99? So the only thing that I would be giving myself is pocket money. And I will give myself, just so that I have some pocket money and I don't go stir crazy, I'll give myself $10 in pocket money. And then we just subtract that from that. And then this number, $142.99, gets to go on my next debt, which is City Girl. So now that I don't have PayPal, the way the debt snowball works is I worked out, to do the debt snowball, what you're supposed to take is the $15, the payment from the previous debt, which would be $15, plus the minimum payment from the current debt, which is $25. You're supposed to take that, add it together, and apply that to your next debt. So technically, it would be 15 plus 25. It would be $40. But because I don't have any other expenses that I need to take care of, I'm just going to put the entire $142.99 on there. I'm gonna write that in. And so what that would mean is that I'm paying $102.99 over my minimum payment on this particular debt. And I'm super excited about that. And I know that I had mentioned that I do want to put more money in my emergency fund, and I didn't include it just yet on here. So I want to explain that a little bit. So, and this is something when I do the budget report card, it'll make a little bit more sense. So you guys know that I'm only using my part-time income from my company. And one error that I made last month, and it wasn't necessarily me and my accountant, I pay myself a percentage of my company profits each month. And like, so for example, all the work that I did in the month of September will give me my salary for the month of October. So what I earn in the current month is not how I pay myself, because I want to make sure that my business expenses are taken care of. My business costs, taxes, all that stuff are taken care of. And so one of the things that I didn't calculate when I transitioned from working my part-time job to working part-time for myself is that I didn't calculate the costs of transitioning financially. I am just gonna plug that up. I didn't calculate what it would cost. I guess I can turn this around and explain that. I didn't calculate the cost of what it would take to transition organizationally from going into my part-time job versus focusing on my company. So in the month of September, there were additional expenses that I didn't anticipate, because the way everything is structured, it's based off of sort of the employment that I had. And so there were additional expenses that weren't calculated. And then once we went back in and calculated for those expenses, it reduced the profit that I earned in September, which ultimately reduced the salary that I paid myself. So this is the second month of me working part-time for myself, and based on the numbers and the calculations, it's very likely, it's not likely, the number that I got from my accountant for this month is that I would make $2,100. And obviously I could do my budget based on $2,100. The only reason why I'm not listing that as my actual income versus the $1,800 is because the information that my accountant is working with is the information that I'm giving to them. And if there's something that I don't see until I'm in the moment, then we have to go back and change so much, and I don't want to do that. I want there to be a little bit more of a cushion in my business account. Rather, I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to pay myself my full salary, but I'd rather leave a little bit of a cushion in my business account that will potentially manage expenses that I just don't know that I have until I'm in the thick of doing things. So with that being said, the reason I didn't allocate any of this $1,800 towards my emergency fund is because should the month of October go as planned from a business perspective, then I should receive my full salary from my business, which would be $2,100, which would be $300 more than what I budgeted. When that happens, that $300 would, for me, out of my personal money, would automatically then go into my emergency fund. And I know that may be a little bit confusing, but essentially I just want to be a little bit conservative with the salary that I'm paying myself until we get through the full transition of me working for my company part-time. So I'm great. Like, so if you were like, oh, Stacey, how much did you make this month, from your company working part-time? The number from my accountant is $2,100, and the numbers are rounded. So that's just a personal preference. I don't want to be paid $21.63, right? It's $2,100, which is an amazing amount. But again, there's so many things that I don't realize until I'm in the middle of it that I just want to leave a little bit of a cushion. But so that you guys know, if this month goes as planned and nothing crazy happens in October where my business takes on an expense that reduces, then I'll take that 300 and put it into my emergency fund. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, because it's like, well, you've been doing this. But yeah, I've been doing this, but if you guys notice, like, my income significantly jumped with my company. So as my income jumps, I want to make sure that I am staying on top of it, because I had some really bad practices before as my income was growing, and I don't want those to transition into that. And then obviously, so let me clarify. Actually, if I get that $300, I would pay the $30 towards my tithe. I would send an additional $30 towards my child support, and then the remaining $240 would go into my savings account, because I do want to keep my tithing and my child support right around 10%. And for my child support, it'll be at 10% until I get to a cap of what I think is a really good number for me to be sending child support, because it takes a lot of money to take care of a kid. And so what I'm sending now is not a lot. So my son's father is amazing, so it won't, my child support won't always be 10% of my income, but it'll cap out at an amount. So I hope that makes sense. And so now I'm just going to add up the numbers on my cash flow plan. Carly said, could you get another part-time job? Are you investing all of your time in building your company? Sorry, I'm a new viewer. No, you don't have to apologize. So I, at this time, am focusing my energy on my company. And that's for a couple of reasons, and we can talk about this a little bit in the Q&A. But when I looked at the numbers, me working in my company quarter time I'm earning nearly double what I was working in my part-time job, and I am earning nearly double with not having to put in as much physical effort. And so it physically, it makes a lot more sense to focus on fleshing out my company and establishing that, because this is what my income is part-time. I can only imagine what it would be if I was full-time, right? I'm not going full-time yet, but I can only imagine what it would be if I was going full-time. So yeah, so at this time, because I like the numbers that I'm producing at a part-time level versus, and if I went and got a professional part-time job, that could potentially be different, because obviously I would have a bump in my salary. But I mentioned in another video that also creates a bump in the stress, and my mental health is the priority as it stands right now. So short answer is mostly focusing on my company, because I'm earning a little more than what I was earning in my part-time job. So I'm going to add up these numbers on my cash flow plan just to make sure that it comes out to zero. And then we will move on to the allocated spending. So if you are working on this, please do yours, taking account to help your budget. Let me see. BBYG21 said something. I'm just going to wait for it to pop up over here. Okay. Said, would you suggest talking to an accountant to help with budget? Me and my husband are wondering if it will be cheaper for me to work or be a stay-at-home mom and send the kids to daycare. So this is my personal opinion. Being a stay-at-home mom, sending your kids to daycare, although that seems like that's just a financial decision, that is also a personal life choice decision, right? So you could do an accountant could run the numbers and be like, okay, it costs this much to send your child to daycare. It costs this much for you guys to stay home. He or she could run the numbers and give you the numbers, but I don't think that an accountant makes that decision easier, because no matter what you do, there's going to be an emotional, psychological sacrifice that you have to make, whether it's the sacrifice in the investment in funding daycare that you think is quality enough for your child to go, or if it's an emotional, psychological sacrifice in you pressing pause on your career and then coming home to raise your children full time. So I think that the only benefit would be that they would be able to give you objective numbers. But my experience with people staying home versus sending their kids to daycare is that it's really not as much of a financial decision. It is a financial decision, but it's not only a financial decision. So I've seen a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom because it costs too much to send my kids to daycare. And they lose their entire mind staying at home. And then they wind up going back to work, because electing to be a full-time stay-at-home mom is not just the money savings that is a factor. So I would probably save my money and have the tough conversations with my husband. Like us, like fussing and fighting through the tough conversations. And I would take the time to write down my own numbers. I would take the time to actually write down and figure it out, because that's the other thing. When an accountant calculates it, it's going to be so objective that you're not going to feel your salary or your husband's salary like truly leaving. It's going to be like he's going to express this theory, but like if you sit down and you do the budget and you say, okay, I'm going to pretend like I was a stay-at-home mom this month and we were only living off your salary. Then you take the time to fill out all these budget forms, and then you try to live like that. Even though you have this other money coming in, you try to live like that. Then you can feel it. Like you can feel that it's more than a financial decision. Hope that helps. So yeah, I'm going to add up these numbers, and then we are going to move to our next form. Yeah, it's such, I mean, you know, money is emotional, but child rearing and stuff like that is a very value-based personal choice decision. Nope. My numbers are off somewhere. Let's see. Okay, no, they're not. I just calculated wrong. Kaya said, you really don't need as much as you think. I agree. That's why I'm a fan of doing a budget, because you really figure out what you really need. Like you really figure out what your four walls are. You really figure out all these other things. Like the budget is amazing. I can't remember the name, but somebody said, what do you spend your pocket money on? Usually some sort of food. Like I really like the taste of food, so sometimes I'll like go to a candy store and buy a truffle. like I'll buy a truffle, or somebody had asked me, you know, is the minimalism thing who you are? Is it just a choice for right now? And it's 100% a choice for right now. I am the most over the top, indulgent, like ridiculous person when it comes to like the finer things in life. Like so ridiculous. So I'll buy a truffle. Sometimes I really like there's this kombucha. I can't remember the brand of it, but sometimes I'll go get like a kombucha. Hi from Jamaica. You know, stuff like that. I'll buy like specialty food items that I would love to have in my budget that I just can't afford. So I don't usually, like, again, because my personal hygiene and toiletries and things like that are taken care of, I typically can spend on stuff like that. I think one time I gave myself $20 and I took like some amount of that and went to a movie, but typically it's on some sort of specialty food. Yeah. Yeah, she's BBYG21. Since you're disciplined, I would add that truffle to my grocery list. No, I can't be buying like $5 chocolates in my grocery list. I can't do that. Sometimes I'll buy a book. I haven't purchased a book since my birthday, so sometimes I'll do that. All right, so my numbers are 0, so I'm going to turn you guys back around and we'll do the allocated spending. If you're ready to go to the next budget, please put a 1 in the description box. What will be my ideal pocket money? Probably $25. I mean, you know, maybe $40. If I could spend $10 a week on myself, that would probably be more than enough. Because it's like when everything is taken care of, I just find that I don't need as much pocket money. Like okay, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm going to write that question down because I want to answer it in the Q&A, like ideal numbers for budgets, because I would love to tell you guys my ideal number for like wardrobe and all that other stuff. So clothing, food, and pocket money. And that'll be the first question I answer in the Q&A. So let me turn you guys around. All right. So here is my Ashley said, I'm new. What's the first step to handling your debt? To do a budget, to do a zero-based budget specifically. So this is my quick start budget with, not my quick start. This is my cash flow plan with everything listed and bringing in 800 minus 800, and I am at 0. And it's super exciting because my 4 walls are covered, can go to therapy twice, and I'm paying $140 some odd on my debt. That is amazing. So now I'm going to go to my allocated spending, which this also comes with a little bit of an explanation. So for those of you who are following along, the quick start budget tells you what it costs, like what your basic budget costs, like what is your bare minimum that you need in order for you to be able to live for that month. For me to live this month is $1507.01. This is essentially my 4 walls, my priorities. This is what it would cost. Your monthly cash flow plan tells you where the rest of your money you want it to go, because after you figure out your minimum baseline, your bare minimum money that you need to bring in, everything over that you still need to allocate those dollars, and most of those dollars go into things like medical, lifestyle, debt, recreation. You guys see I don't give myself a recreation budget, but that would be there. The allocated spending is the budget form that tells you where your money should go. Huda 2002 said, Dave Ramsey suggests 10% to your debt. Wouldn't that be 180? I've never heard that before. I've never heard him say 10% to your debt. I've heard him say pay your minimums and then everything else that you have, throw it at that debt. Every extra dime that you have after your 4 walls are taken care of, to throw it at that debt. So this form tells your money where to go and when to go. So last month, I made the mistake of thinking that it would be fine for me to get paid on the 21st, because that's when companies that are, no. McKenna said, do you only have City Girl debt left? No, I have other debts too. And we'll talk about that in the Q&A. I made the mistake of thinking that I could pay myself once and that would be fine. It was not fine. And that I would be able to pay myself at the end of the month. That was not fine. So one thing that I've done to correct that error, and you guys will, I think, see this in the budget report card. I'm not 100% for sure where I'm talking about it, but I had to, okay, so normally every month, like after I pay all of my bills and after I pay all of my expenses, maybe carry over to the following month, there would be maybe like anywhere from like 10 to 20 some odd dollars left over in my checking account nearly every single month. Just the carryover from previous month, you know, a bill was a little bit less, but for the most part, my checking account floats really, really close to 0. However, with me living only on my self-employment income And with me wanting to be conservative as I spend that money as it's coming in, I need to create a better floor in my checking account. And this isn't to be confused with my emergency fund, because the emergency fund is completely separate. It's actually an emergency fund. The floor in my checking account is just the bare minimum that I need to, that I want, I don't need to, I want to maintain in my checking account, so that way I am not struggling in the month. So like, for example, I'm going to move to paying myself bi-weekly. I'm going to pay myself, I believe, on the 1st and the 15th. I believe that's the plan. You know what? No, we're going to do the 5th and the 20th, just because I started on yeah, we're going to do the 5th and the 20th. And I'm doing that because, like, even though most of my bills are able to come out in a one pay cycle, I find that, I mean, it was hard to just wait and get paid on the 20th. It was just super, super hard. And I don't know if it should have to be that hard. So I say all that to say that I think I'm going to pay myself twice this month, on the 5th and the 20th. And yeah, that's just going to be the pay cycle. Because the benefits to paying myself once, I think I was so much more organized, but the stress and the struggle of like not having a single dime to my name for 20 days was very, very difficult. So, yeah, so I hope that that makes sense, just in terms of last month to this month, since it's still self-employment income. And so the way that that works is that you put the date on the allocated spending, put the date, which will be, I'm going to pay myself on the 10/5, and then 10/20 will be the 2 dates that I pay myself. And I'm going to divide 1,800 by 2, so I'll pay myself 900 each pay period. Right? Does that make sense? I hope that that makes sense. And so I like to pay my priorities first. And my 2 priorities are my tithes and my child support. So I would pay 180 here. So out of 900 minus 180 equals 720. Minus 180 equals 540. So from this particular pay period, I have $540 that I still need to allocate. And so I will take a glance over the things that I want to pay. I don't pay my rent with the first paycheck, simply because my rent is always paid the month before. And it looks like pretty much everything else will come out except for my rent. So yeah, I can just kind of go down and put all of those in. Oh yeah, Carolyn B. Fry. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm the most extra person in all the land. Like, I pay attention to like my flatware and all of those things. People think it doesn't make a difference, but I think it does. Minus 25. Alicia said, do you have a Patreon or PayPal? I'd love to sponsor an extra bag of kale or smoked turkey. I love it. I don't have a Patreon anymore, but I do have a PayPal account. My PayPal is info@staceyflowers.com. I should make some shirts that say I love kale, or kale makes me feel like a superhero, because you guys really get a kick out of how much I love kale. I don't know, it's so good. But I remind people that like kale isn't for everybody. Like my best friend, it's not for her. She does not have a positive reaction to kale. So yeah, it is, my PayPal account is info@staceyflowers.com. So funny. Thank you, Reese, for putting that in there. So I won't pay my phone bill out of this particular pay period. I'm going to pay it out of this one. So I'm going to just put that over there because I already know that I'm going to do that. But technically, you should stay in this column until this number gets down to 0. So we're at 465. And then I'm going to go to the next page. and do life insurance. And what I like about this form is you subtract from that pay period. So it's always, what did you budget? What do you have remaining? What did you budget? What do you have remaining? 454.56. Then minus. For the Q&A, how do you know which bill to pay first, which pay period? That's a great question. I think that I'm gonna write that down and I'm gonna come back to it. Which bill for which pay period? Okay, I'm gonna answer it more thoroughly, but the way that I'm doing it is just really based on the money that I have coming in, and how I've already set up the structure of my bills. But I'll go into a more detailed explanation when we do the Q&A. Where's my renter? Renter's insurance, $575. I think it's a little easier because I know that I only have 2 pay periods, but I think I'm a lot less stressed than most people because of how I've structured my bills. And then pocket money is $10. 438.81. Okay, then I'm gonna go to the next form. Oh, is there a backside? No, there's not. What is the biggest challenge when you started budgeting? Facing my blind spots and being willing to let somebody hold me accountable. I thought I was so smart. I mean, yeah, I just thought I was so smart. I thought these numbers are so easy. Like, what is my problem? So I think I had to stop shaming myself and like being so mean to myself and just get over it and just realize that like nobody ever taught me how to manage money. I did as well as I could for what I was taught, and that I just was gonna have to get over the fact that, because I kept thinking that because I can't manage my money, I can't be as smart as I actually am. So it made me feel insecure about everything. So I was like, I don't even know how to I don't know how to do a budget. Therefore, I probably don't know how to run a company. I probably don't know how to parent. I probably don't know how to do all these things. And unlinking those was really, really, really helpful. And then the accountability, because there wasn't anyone in my personal life who I trusted enough to hold me accountable, because for the most part I was doing so much better than so many people in my personal life, or we have very, very different philosophies. I do have a couple people who are doing super fantastic, way better than me financially, but I don't believe in their financial philosophy. And so it's hard to learn from people when you don't agree with their financial philosophy, even if they're doing well. And so I think I just had to get over the idea that like I was too smart to budget and I should be able to do it in my head. And, you know, like, it's like, no, you should write it down just like everybody else. And give yourself some time to learn. I think that because I consider myself to be a smart person, I didn't want to, I'm supposed to say therapy. I didn't want the learning curve. And we just live in a time where everything has to be perfect right freaking now. And if it's not perfect, something is wrong with you. And so I just had to face that it wasn't going to be perfect, and it didn't mean anything was wrong with me, and that I wasn't too old to learn. So yeah, that was the hardest part. Just all mental stuff. Negative self-talk. Really just had to get over myself. What else is on here? I definitely have 2 of these. I clearly pulled that from a different print, so I'm just gonna rewrite that here and then trash that so I don't get, but that changes. Oh no, it doesn't. Yeah, I was wondering why that didn't have the backside. Yeah, I think for most people, it's just a mental thing. Like we just think we're so smart that we don't have to do simple things, right? Budgeting is technically easy. I'm adding and subtracting no more than $1,800, right? Like technically that's easy, and I think we and when I say we, I just mean like it's human nature to want to skip over the things that seem easier, the things that seem, too good to be true. And we have a tendency to complicate things, whether it's a relationship, it's a relationship, it's a budget, we just have a tendency to complicate things. And I just really was making it way more complicated than what it needed to be. So there's something with my numbers that is off. So I'm going to go back and recalculate it. 900 minus. Thank you, Mary Beth Boiling. I appreciate you for showing up. Yeah, for me, I had to, yeah, I had it. I'm just tired of being broke. Not even just broke. I'm tired of, for me, I had earned so much that the lack of money that I had in the end, I was like, I can't do this again. And I mean, truth be told too, my son had a little bit to do with it. I'll tell you guys this story really quick. So this is a semi-funny story. So you guys know that like I made a bunch of money, then my whole family moved in with me and I was taking care of my whole family, right? And me and my son had taken a trip to Florida and we were on our way back from Florida. When we were going to Florida, I was like stoked. I was like, yes, we're going to Florida, like blah, blah, blah. When we were on our way back, my son is a super homebody and he loves being at home. And so, we had our time in Florida. We came back and he's in the car. He's like, yes, I can't wait to get home and get in my bed, blah, blah, blah. And I was like so irritated, so stressed. I was like, no, we're not listening to music. I'm just going to take you to your dad's, just super stressed about it. And he was just like, Mom, you really don't like going home. And I think that that's a problem. And I was just like, no, going home is fine. Mom is just somebody who likes to travel, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, Mom, you don't like going home. And I think I know why. And I was like, well, why don't I like going home? And he's just like, because you're taking care of everybody. And so then he says that, right? And, like there's respect that my son has for me. So like, I think it's hard as a teenage kid to tell your parent when they're doing something wrong. So he's just like, you're taking care of everybody. And he said it with a little stank on his voice. And I was just like, yeah, that they just need help right now, blah, blah, blah. And so then my son goes, and hear his heart. My son goes, Mom, I understand that, but that's not their money. If anything, it's my money. Like, you're supposed to be spending that money on me. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was just like, Mom, even if you made $1 million, it wouldn't be enough for the family. And it scares me sometimes because, like, that's supposed to be my inheritance. And so then I'm like, you think Mom's gonna make $1 million? He's like, yeah, you're gonna make $1 million. He's like, you're amazing, but it's like you don't realize that it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're never gonna make enough money to take care of the family. Like, you're only gonna make enough money to take care of me and my brothers and sisters. And like, I mean, it's not about my inheritance, but I mean, do you think about that? And it was like one of those moments where I was like, whoa, because there were so many things that I did not give to my child because I was, taking care of my immediate family. And I know it sounds like it was like a little bit of an entitled thing for him to be like, that's my inheritance. But like, he was right. Like, I was teaching him that like a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children's children. So when he made mention of that, I was like, you're right. Like, Mom is spending your inheritance. And then when he kept saying, he was just like, it's obvious to everybody that you're going to be a millionaire, but I know for sure it's never going to be enough. You cannot take care of them. They have to take care of themselves. And so, he was listing like different things with, different people or whatever that he had observed. And, and he was just like, you should like coming home. Like, everybody should like coming home, and you hate it. And, so we just had this very intense conversation. So I say all that to say, that was a really big wake-up call for me too, is that like my son was seeing this like overwhelming abundance come in my life, and he was seeing me allocated in a way that didn't prioritize him and didn't prioritize me. And I think the reason why it was so easy to not prioritize him is because I wasn't prioritizing myself, right? So anything that really was my responsibility was like the bottom of the list, and then all that other stuff was the top of the list. And I just think that, you know, him saying that, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get myself together, because he was just like, yeah, it's my inheritance. Okay, kid, I'm gonna get it together. Okay, so that's story time. How did you get out of the situation with your family? I'll answer that in the Q&A. Okay, let me do these numbers. Minus 180 minus... This form always takes so much energy. 465 minus 1044 minus 575 minus 4481. Okay, minus 10 equals, you know what, I think I'm gonna, yeah, I'm gonna give me my, I'm gonna give myself that later. 448. Am I missing a form? There are only 4 pages, so 48.81 minus 363.81. I don't understand that. So one, that's still not right. I just don't think so. 133. 81. I just don't think that that would be right, because let's see, 900 minus 845 equals 55. Minus, oh, okay, maybe that is right. Equals 1918. Minus 10 is 918. Okay, that is right. So 133.81, and then, so that's just broken up a little bit, which looks a little bit weird, but I shall live. Okay, so let's take a look at the allocated spending. So I got a little bit confused because the numbers were a little shorter than what I thought. So allocated spending, $900. I'll do $900 on the 5th, and minus that I'll do I'll pay my tithes of $180, leaving me $720. Then I'll pay my child support, commission, and iTunes for $180, leaving me $540. Then I'll come down, I'll pay my electricity of $25, leaving me $515, my gas of $25, leaving me $490, my cooking gas of $25, leaving me $465. Then come over to the next page, I'll pay my life insurance of $1044, leaving me $454.56. My renter's insurance of $575, leaving me $444.81. I was going to do my pocket money out of this, but I shifted that to that. So we come over here to the back side, and those numbers aren't right. I don't think they're right. Hold on. Let me make sure. 448.81 minus. Yeah, so they go up. So that'll be minus 75 equals $373.81. Minus 50 because I changed that $10. That's the reason why it's $10 more. Equals $323.81 minus 50 equals $273.81 minus therapy equals $133.81. And then that will carry over to my debt page, and I'll pay my first payment to my City Girl events at $133.81. Then I come over to my next pay period, which would be on the 20th. I will pay my rent of $845, leaving me $55. I'll pay my cell phone bill of $35.82, leaving me $19.18. I don't have any expenses for that side. Then I'll pay myself my pocket money of $10, leaving me $9.18. And then I will end with putting an additional $9.18 on City Girl events. And that equals 0. So that is my allocated spending. So essentially, if you guys are looking at this from like a bird's eye view, I am basically paying most of my expenses at the beginning of the month, on the 5th, and my rent and a couple miscellaneous expenses at the end of the month. Yeah, so McKenna said you won't get pocket money until the 20th. Yeah, I won't get it until the 20th, which is fine, because if should something come up, remember I'm creating another floor in my checking account. So it's not like my checking account will be at 0. I'm going to try to be disciplined until that time, which is likely to happen, because what happens at the beginning of the month is I'll go to the grocery store. So I'll have all of my fun, flavorful things to eat at the beginning of the month, which will make it easier for me to get to the 20th, if that makes sense. So yeah, and I mean, obviously I could potentially switch it around, but I'm gonna try to pay it in this sort of a way. Let's see, I don't know why that's not charging. Yeah, I'm gonna try to pay that in this way. Victoria said, are you saving? Yes. I mentioned a little bit ago that this is a conservative number of what my accountant anticipates me earning this month. And should I earn the full amount that my accountant is suggesting, then I'll add to my emergency fund. Right now I have $500 in my emergency fund. Reset, I'm sick and tired of seeing my money blow in the wind. You have to do a budget. As uncomfortable and frustrating and useless as it feels, it is a thing that changes everything. Like when you write it down, when you write where you want your money to go down, even if you don't follow it at the beginning, it is this thing that's holding you accountable to what you said and what you wrote. And like they talk about it in goal setting, where like writing your goal down, you're so much percentage more likely to follow it. And what Dave Ramsey tells people is it takes 3 months for you to actually do your budget correctly. And if you guys have been following my journey, this is the 12th month. And I think maybe the last few months it's been accurate, but life happens, right? Like stuff comes up. I couldn't have imagined being sick for so long a couple of months ago. I couldn't have imagined how that would have impacted my budget. But because in general I had something down, I had a better idea of where to go and what to do, what to prioritize, what not to prioritize. So if you're tired of feeling like your money is blowing in the wind, I highly encourage you to do a budget. And it doesn't matter what your income is. For you guys who've been following me for a while, my income started, I mean, it seems like it started at the $2,000 because I participated in a study, but like consistent income from a job, part-time, I think my first month income was like $800. And I started learning how to budget from $800. So it doesn't matter how small your income is or how much you make, you need to write it down, because you need to see these things. Like within the first 3 months, that like I had a dog, right? Within the first couple of months, I realized, listen, you're spending the same amount on your dog as you are your child. That's the issue for me personally, right? Like I'm co-parenting, but my child is not here with me. And what's not going to happen is I'm not going to spend the same amount on my dog as I am my child. But that's all my budget would really allow. So I had to make adjustments, but until it was written down, I didn't know the adjustments that I needed to make. So yeah, so I'm going to run through this and grab some of your questions. And we are going, the questions that are related to specifically this particular budget or understanding, I'm just gonna rip this up, understanding things about this budget, I'll definitely answer inside of this live. If not, I'll pop out and pop right back on for a quickie Q&A. Because because I do think that those are helpful, and I at least want to answer these 3 questions. But so far so good. I'm excited about this month's budget. Okay, for the Q&A, how do you budget which bills? Yep, that's going to be in there. What happens when you write it down and don't have enough money to get everything that's coming in? That's why you write it down. So you can, after you write it down and you realize you don't have enough money coming in, typically what people use is credit. What Dave Ramsey recommends you do is you prioritize what you're going to pay. And he specifically suggests that you pay your 4 walls first, which is food, shelter, transportation, and clothing, a little bit of clothing so that you can have things to wear. Prioritize paying those and get those together, and then you move on to taking care of everything else. Normally what happens when people don't have enough money to cover their expenses is they go into more debt to try to cover their expenses, and or they pay their credit cards first and they pay their other expenses later, and they're like, well, you know, it's rent, I'll figure it out. And so Dave Ramsey always talks about being current on your MasterCard but behind on your rent. It's like you're not supposed to do that. So the idea is write it down so that way you can decide ahead of time, you know what, for October, for the last 6 months, I haven't had enough money to pay all my bills. For October, I'm going to pay my 4 walls. I'm going to get secure, because once you're secure in like your home and your transportation ability to get to work, you'd be amazed the other things that you can do. But typically we don't take care of what makes us feel secure. We take care of what we want, which makes us feel good, and that feeling fades. And as soon as that feeling fades, we're right back on the treadmill, right? So we buy the shoes, we buy the food, we buy the outfit, and we're like, oh, this outfit is going to change my life because I'm going to show up, I'm going to find my future husband. And you know, like we make up these illusions about how taking care of our wants first is going to put us in a better headspace, which is going to make it easier for us to do what we really need to do. And the truth is, the only thing that makes it easier for you to do what you need to do is to do what you need to do. What are the 4 walls? The 4 walls are food. And Dave Ramsey suggests that you do food first. And I also have a video explaining it. You do food first because you need to be able to eat to live. Then you do shelter, and that's like rent or mortgage. Or no, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's food, utilities. Pardon me, it's utilities. Thanks, Alicia. She sent $1.99. She said, I tried a beat for the first time because of you. Did you love it? You do utilities because it's not healthy to be in a house without running water and lights and gas. Then you do shelter, then you do transportation, then you do clothing. Carolina B. Fry. Oh yeah, we were going to talk about budgeting versus tracking receipts versus tracking spending or keeping receipts. I'm going to talk about that in the Q&A. Mary Bless, I deeply appreciate your honesty and respect your authenticity. Thank you. Aaron, when I keep thinking, oh no. Okay, this is moving. Writing it down. McKenna said, I have trouble following my budget for that reason. Something always comes up. So when people say something always comes up, what that is an indication of is you are not being honest about all of your expenses. And when I say honest, I mean like just honest with yourself, right? So for example, like some people watch my grocery hauls and they're like, I'm going to spend $50 a month. Stacey did it. You're not being honest with yourself. If you used to spend $300 a month on food and you think in 1 month you're going to be at $50, you're not being honest with yourself, like period, point blank, because getting to a $50 grocery budget is a dramatic lifestyle change, right? Like you guys don't see me at happy hour or talking about happy hour or hanging out with my friends. You don't hear me talking about the things that add up to a food budget, right? Prior to getting down to that much of a conservative budget, I went on an elimination diet to figure out what foods are best suited to my body. Like it takes a lot of work to get to a $50 grocery budget and still be healthy and nutritious, right? So sometimes people will be inspired by something and they're like, oh, I'm going to do that. But you're not being honest with yourself, because if you're really going to do that, then you're going to do all the other steps. Or like sometimes people will be like, oh, I only spend about $60 a month on gas. And they really spend $180 a month on gas. And sometimes it's because we think that our brains are so powerful and we're so smart that it's not that big of a deal, and it's just $20, and it's just, anytime you're saying to yourself, oh, it's just $20, it's not that big of a deal. Like there is somebody was talking about how they leave $200 in their miscellaneous category just for miscellaneous things every month. And I'm like, if you have $200 worth of miscellaneous expenses every month, that means you have an expense that you, one, don't want to acknowledge because you don't want to tell yourself the truth about that expense, or two, you it's so emotionally overwhelming for you to think about your budget that you are literally hiding from yourself, right? So for example, like, and I shared this in my makeup video, like, I like high-end products for my face. I just do. Is it a little bit embarrassing to be like, you know, my concealer costs $34 when I make less than $2,000 a month? Yeah. Like, you know, I'm supposed to be like, oh, I'll just do the $7 concealer from the Walgreens store, you know, and nothing against that. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I had to face the fact that at the end of the day, I know I'm on a budget, but what I'm not going to do is compromise on my skincare. And we got to own that about ourselves. And there are some people who are like, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to compromise on my clothes. $50 a month, good for you, Stacey, but I'm not compromising on my clothes. Like, and so we have to be honest with ourselves about the things that, even though they're not needs, they are our priorities. And because they're our priorities, we need to write them down. And so many people don't want to write down their truth. They don't want to write down that they spend $400 a month on clothes. They don't want to write down that they spend $160 a month on cosmetics. They don't want to write down that to maintain their hair and their nails they spend $280. They don't want to write that down because they don't want to be that person. But you gotta, you have to be honest with yourself, because and you guys, if you watch my budget videos, you will see me being like, man, every month I keep going over. I'm too conservative here. Why am I being conservative? Oh, I'm being conservative because I want to look like this and I want this to be my image. You guys see me addressing those things. So that's what I would say to you, is that, like, you have to really be honest with yourself about what you are spending your money on, and you have to own who you are. I'm fine shopping at the thrift stores. I'm fine spending $50 a month on groceries. But it, like, so a lot of people look at that and they're like, oh wow, she just cut her lifestyle so much. My concealer is $34. My moisturizer is $16 to $20. There are people on the Dave Ramsey plan who would be like, you are a ridiculous person for that. You know what I mean? So I'm not perfect, and the idea is not to be perfect, it's to be honest with yourself, because the thing of it is you're gonna go do what you want to do anyway. You're gonna do it anyway, so you might as well write it down. And it's the same thing when it comes to our kids. Like, you know, I'm fortunate because I'm co-parenting and I'm not the full-time parent. So when stuff comes up for my son, the pressure, I don't feel it the way that his father feels it, right? So there's some distance where, you know, I get a little bit of a reprieve because of that. But we have to be honest with ourselves. If you are single parenting, like, are you spending out of guilt? Are you you know, there are a lot of people, parents, who will be like, you know, oh, I'm broke, I don't have any money. And then you look at their child, and their child head to toe is in name brand clothing. And we don't see that as a projection of, well, we don't want people to know that we're low income, so I'm going to dress my child as if we can afford this basically $300 outfit that they have on. I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that. And a lot of that is just a projection and some shame and embarrassment about where your level really is. So just different things like that. Like, we have to be willing to tell ourselves the truth. And sometimes the truth is we vicariously live through our kids, and we will make sure that our kids have everything, not because that's what they need or even that's because what we want them to have, but because we don't want our kids to be mad at us. Like, I have a teenager, like, and some parents will be like, well, you know, I want him to be my friend. I don't want him to be mad at me. I can't handle that. You got to face that, because if you don't want your child to be mad at you, that's probably showing up in your finances. You know, stuff like that. Let's see. I feel like I'm off the screen. Do you have a plan 2 to 3 months ahead of your monthly expenses other than having your emergency fund? No. Nope. And Dave Ramsey suggests that for a reason. It creates intensity, right? Because you know you don't have enough to be lackadaisical, and so it puts pressure on you to go a little bit faster. But also my monthly expenses don't exceed $1,500, so $1,000 emergency fund is suited for me. I think that answers your question. But in general, for the fourth quarter, in terms of plans, my original financial goal was to earn 50K and spend about 50% of that on paying off debt. So I would love to get that other 25K in the next 3 months. But I don't have any specific plans to do that. I'm going to be honest with myself about what it takes to earn that amount of money. And, I'm going to do my very best within the parameters that I set for myself. But those are the only two other things that I have. To reestablish my health insurance, I just need to understand it better, because it's so much more confusing than what I want it to be. I hate that I buy things I don't need. I think I need something, but then I set them aside. It might just be $50 a month, but I hate it. Yeah, like in Alicia, you have to figure out why you're doing that. Like those impulse purchases, what don't you want to feel? What don't you want to think about yourself? Has anyone read the book You Need a Budget? Keep hearing people talk about it. In Dave's book, I haven't. So excited to start my money journey. Hey, Heather, I'm so happy that you're catching me live. Heather Gwen. Reese said, I love that your son was able to talk to you about inheritance, shows his perspective and how he views what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, I have an amazing kid. Have you ever purchased something, put it in your closet, and tagged still on it because you thought you needed it? I haven't, but I love clothes, but I don't understand how to shop and stuff well enough to be like buying stuff that I don't absolutely need, which I think I have the reverse problem. Like I don't buy clothes until I absolutely need them. And so many of my clothes get worn down. And it's just probably not a good look. How do you keep your grocery budget so low? I've tried for months and still can't get it below 120. McKenna, I'll talk about that in the Q&A. Grocery budget low. Okay, I think those are all the questions that I have that are specifically related to the budget. So what I'm going to do is pop out and then come back on, and we'll just do a general Q&A. So that it's a little bit easier. But that is my October budget. $1,800 coming in, $1,800 going out, with a payment towards debt of $142.99. My priorities being paid and my 4 walls being covered. So I'm excited. That is a good place for me to be in. So Carolyn said, I'm doing a no spend October. If you could pop into the Q&A, I want to understand that a little bit more. I don't really understand the no spend, but we can talk about it in the other video. So I will talk to you guys here in about 5 seconds. Bye.